What's going on, my fellow collectors? Jim here with another figure review. Let's take a look at the Funko Disney Afternoon Cartoons Darkwing Duck. Finally got this one for the collection, man. This is one I was looking for a long time, and I ended up finding it on Amazon of all places. I just happened to search on Amazon and $10, a retail price. So if you were looking for this guy in the wild and could not find it, check Amazon. Packaging is what we've seen with these other figures. It's basically just a little card, little bubble. You can clearly see the figure behind the window. You got the Disney Darkwing Duck on the back of the packaging. That's pretty much the packaging though. So let's go ahead and pop this thing out and take a closer look at Darkwing. Okay, here he is out of the packaging, and you know, overall it's a cool figure. I've enjoyed this entire line. I've picked up pretty much everybody but Blue, just because I thought his scale was a little bit on the strange side. I do have a couple issues with this figure. First thing is that the hat is not removable, and that kind of ruins it, because as you can see, I mean, if you just got him on a regular shelf, the hat covers his entire face. You can't see. I mean, you're going to have to really put him up on a tall shelf in order to really be able to get the full look. So that's a little bit disappointing. Articulation's a little bit different than some of the other ones. Like, you don't get the rotation down here, even though the cut's there. But you do get a waist twist. But, you know, I'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, overall, it still does look good for $10. It's cool. The nostalgia factor's there, and he's going to look good with your other characters. He does come with one accessory, which is his little blaster, and this is done in kind of like a very brownish gray blackish plastic, but there's a little bit of sculpt in it. Not too bad, nothing too fancy. The one thing I do like is that he does come with somewhat of a trigger hand, so I mean, you can just kind of squeeze this in there. With his hands being white, I am worried about, you know, some of the black kind of over time rubbing off on that, but he does hold it, you know, even with the trigger finger and all, so that's pretty cool. And now taking a closer look at Darkwing Duck, I think overall it looks good. You know, like Funko's been doing with this other line, I think they really do a good job capturing the lookness of, you know, these classic cartoon characters. I really like the face sculpt. It looks great. The beak looks good. The paint for the most part is clean. I like the sculpt of like his fur kind of around here. He does have his, you know, purple mask. The hat looks good. I mean, it looks accurate. It just doesn't remove from his head, which is a little bit annoying. But I mean, you know, the rest of his outfit is cool. It looks great. Got his yellow buttons, his kind of like turquoise color undershirt. The cape, surprisingly, is a very soft kind of rubbery material. I thought it was going to be plastic, so I much prefer this, you know, softer material here. He does have his, you know, white hands, and of course he has his duck feet and everything, and they turned out really good. The paint on him, for the most part, is pretty clean. I do like how we have this kind of pinkish purple color on the underside of the cape, and of course we have this more very kind of darkish bluish purple on the back as well. And of course we do have the back of the figure, which looks good. He does have his little tail. There's a couple peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So yeah, I mean, it definitely captures that look from Darkwing Duck from the cartoon. So very cool. And this was definitely one that I was, you know, looking everywhere for and just could never find. So I'm super excited to have him in the collection. Now, as far as articulation, his is a little bit different. You do get rotation at the head, of course, so that does rotate. You get a very tiny little bit of up and down. The arms don't hinge out at all. I mean, the hinge is there, you can see it in there, but it doesn't want to hinge out at all. You're only going to get about that much out. Of course, they do go, you know, forward and back. They would technically go all the way around, but because of the cape, they're, you know, not going to. He does just have a single bend at the elbow, gives him about 90 degrees. The hands do not twist. Even though the cut is here at his legs, there is no movement with that. Unless mine is just ridiculously stuck, but both sides I get no movement at all. So I don't think they're supposed to move. But you do get a waist twist with him. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So you do get waist twist with him. But I mean, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very cool figure and an awesome one to add, you know, to the shelf, especially if you're collecting the rest of the line. Just kind of sucks that when you do put him up on the shelf, you can barely see him, you know? Now, measuring him out, it looks like he is just a little over 3.5 inches tall, you know, obviously including the hat, which you're not going to be able to remove. Here he is next to good old Scrooge McDuck. And here he is next to Chip and Dale. So as you can see, he's going to look good up with your other, you know, at Disney afternoon cartoon line, even though you're not going to be able to see his stinking face. That is so frustrating. I don't want to force him bend his head up too much, but it would be nice if his head would just come up a little bit so he's not just completely covered by the hat the whole time. But yeah, guys, that was a quick look at the Funko Disney cartoon afternoon, you know, 5-inch scale line that they're doing with these awesome figures here. This was Darkwing Duck, probably one of the more you know, sought after ones because he was pretty hard to find. But yeah, cool looking figure for $10, not bad, especially if you're collecting the line. He's gonna look good up on the shelf with your other figures. But that was the review, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next figure review. Take care.